to The Hypnotist, the show that gives you inside access to cutting-edge hypnosis with real clients facing genuine issues. Brought to you by the hypnotherapist demanded by celebrities, CEOs, and even royalty, Adam Cox. These recordings took place live from Adam's clinic in London's world-famous Harley Street. So, get yourself comfortable and enjoy today's episode of The Hypnotist.
Hi, it's Adam here, and you're about to listen to a weight loss hypnosis session with a bit of a difference. And I was working with a client that was very, very successful in their profession, which was in the medical industry. And they felt a little bit incongruent because they knew the consequences of eating snacks and processed food, the impact on their insulin, on their cholesterol, in terms of their overall health and well-being, and the possibility that it could lead to lifestyle diseases like heart disease and type 2 diabetes, and yet felt that it was almost a compulsion, that there was some other part of them in control. They also knew that although it was giving them something that felt gratifying or satisfying in the short term, quite often the next day they would wake up with a sense of guilt or shame or regret. And that's a really big clue that they're not in integrity with their values. Because if you do something that perfectly aligns with your values, you don't regret it. You feel proud about it. If, however, it is linked to something that you feel shame or regret for, it's because your intuition is saying you're on the wrong path. And this client had that. So we use a few different things here. We use the hiking and nature analogy because this particular client, when they were at the weight that they felt the happiest, loved to hike and they loved to see waterfalls and nature. So that naturally is linked to a resource state. But then we've got this idea of two different timelines, and they had an idea of where they were heading if they continued to kind of eat takeaways late at night and snack late at night. They kind of knew that they're not going to lose as much weight as they want, and they're not going to have the same level of confidence, and they're not going to feel so comfortable in social situations. They also knew that once they make subtle changes, and by the way, these changes don't have to be easy. A lot of people are looking for easy ways to lose weight, but this person had got through medical school. They could do things that weren't easy, but were worthwhile. And I prime that in this particular hypnosis session because actually you get a lot more pride if you do something challenging than if you do something that's really easy. And I would say those people who lose weight through liposuction aren't going to feel the same levels of personal pride as the same person that would lose weight through dietary choices and healthy habits. They're on different levels. The goal is not just the aesthetics, it's the person you become on that journey. And we get them to imagine that future of more confidence, more self-esteem, better health and vitality. But also what was very emotive for them is that they wanted to feel more socially confident, and they wanted to feel empowered to start dating again rather than just kind of living this kind of working and eating existence. And therefore we use that as the key payoff. And there's a great belief that I think is really useful in the world of dating, and that is that whatever qualities that you desire in your ideal partner, it's easier to find them if you have them in yourself. So if you want a really slim, fit partner, better if you're slim and fit. If you want a very ambitious or driven partner, better if you're ambitious and driven. And therefore, that has a direct payoff because the more of the qualities that they wanted in their partner or these people that they'd be dating, the more that they could exude those in themselves. And I think that's a wonderful belief system to have. There's a lot going on here. It's more than just weight loss. It's a lot about the emotional resources and the framing of things. So if you've struggled to lose weight, you might get some value from this session. That said, it was calibrated to the individual that I'm working with, and therefore it might be that you're not from a medical background. It might be that your goal isn't to date, but just to feel more energetic or sleep better. Your goal is the important thing. So if you do like the idea of a bespoke session, there will be a link in the show notes or the description, or you can visit my website, adamcox.co.uk, and you can book a free consultation call to discuss working with me, and we'll have a chat, because it might be that I end up being your hypnotherapist rather than just a podcast that you listen to. So if that's of interest, check that out. For now, though, find a quiet, comfortable place where you won't be disturbed, relax, and enjoy the session. Take a deep breath in, and as you breathe in that resourceful feeling of calm and relaxation. And as you exhale, feel a wonderful feeling of relief and release. And on the next outward breath, just allow your eyelids to close completely. That's it. And if you need to position your body in such a way to feel more comfortable, allow yourself to do that now. That's it. Breathing in relaxation and exhaling tension. Each breath takes you deeper and deeper relaxed. I want you to focus on the point directly behind your eyeballs. As you focus on that sensation, take a breath deeper in than you normally would. And as you exhale for longer, and just release any tension around your eyes and just feel yourself sinking into that place of pure relaxation. That's it. The deeper you breathe, the more relaxed you feel. And the more relaxed you feel, the deeper you breathe. Each breath takes you deeper and deeper relaxed. And as your body relaxes, your imagination awakens. And I want you to imagine seeing a photograph of yourself in your future with the exact body shape that you desire. I want you to see yourself looking strong, healthy, slim. And I want you to see in that photo clues of your emotional state, your confidence, your self-esteem, your energy levels. And if you could imagine what it would be like in your future to have that body, but also that discipline and habits that align with your ideal self, let me know by nodding your head. And then I want you to create a background of that image. I want you to imagine a national park with a mountain and waterfalls. And then imagine that version of you there in that location, wearing whatever you would wear to be hiking and walking around waterfalls and mountains. And then imagine how good it would feel to float into the photo, into the scene, and imagine being there in that nature. I want you to imagine that the waterfalls cascade down into a pool that then turns into a river or a stream. And I want you to imagine how good it would feel to swim in that pool of water with that body of your ideal self. Feel a sense of refreshing rejuvenation. I want you to get a feeling that when you are connected with your ideal shape, good emotions flow constantly. I want you to connect with that feeling and then imagine drying off and wearing the clothes that would be ideal for a hike. And I want you to see a mountain, the kind of mountain it would take several hours to ascend to the top. And just imagine walking up that gradient. But imagine walking up feeling light, feeling strong, feeling with energy, capability, and confidence. And I want you to come to the conclusion that whatever you're doing doesn't have to be easy in order for it to be accomplished. It just has to be rewarding. And rewarding just means it rewards you in a particular way. Because these snacks and foods that you've been eating has been giving you short-term rewards. The reward of a taste, a texture. Some people call it gratification. But what if the price of self-esteem, confidence, personal pride, and feelings of high self-worth is simply the cost of turning down those things that are temporary in the short term and tend to sting you with shame and guilt anyway. Allow the mountain to represent a journey that you're on now, a transformational journey that will change how you perceive yourself and how the world evaluates you. Because people are busy. They put people in boxes. They make false assumptions based on things that aren't true but seem true. And I want you to think of the evaluations you've made when you see someone at a similar age to you that seems to be athletic or sporty or slim or healthy. And if you're making those evaluations about that person close to your age, doesn't it make sense that other people would be making similar evaluations about you now, but also when you change? I want you to get a feeling that you don't need discipline and self-control as much as you think you do. Discipline can help in those moments of struggle, but I want you to get a sense that what really pulls you through is duty and vision. As you imagine hiking up this mountain, I want you to think about all the study you needed to do to have the career you now have. It would have been more gratifying for you to do something easier, to just listen to music, to just read some fiction, read a comic book even. But back then you didn't. Because what was more important than gratification was a sense of you becoming who you wanted to be. And it didn't need to be easy. It just needed to be worth it. And you did that. And I want you to awaken that belief system that something doesn't have to be easy in order to be doable. It simply has to be important enough to you. And I want you to start thinking, as you continue to climb that mountain, of two different futures. Consider it like a game show with two doors. You can only choose one. And the first doorway takes you to a future 1 year from now, where things carry on their current trajectory. As you imagine that future, imagine seeing yourself like you're someone else, continuing to order lots of takeout food on apps. See yourself in the evenings eating chocolate or biscuits, refined carbohydrates or snacks. And I want you to see how useful that would be to increase your self-esteem. How useful that strategy would be to lower your cholesterol, to increase your insulin sensitivity. See yourself day after day doing similar things to what you have been doing. Is it useful to boost your energy levels? Is it useful to lower your body fat? Is it useful to give you more feelings of capability and confidence? No good or bad, no right or wrong. Just, is it useful? Is it useful? If by doing that you get more guilt and shame and less pride and satisfaction. But imagine that carrying on for a year from now. And just imagine what kind of body shape or what kind of blood test results you could expect a year from now if you continue on that same pathway. And I want you to get a sense that in the same way it wouldn't have been useful for your career to read comic books or watch music videos. It was necessary for you to do certain things to create a cause and effect probability of taking your life in a particular direction. And I want you to feel that now is no different. And I want you to imagine considering the second door, a different timeline. But I want you to imagine that version of you uses emotions like a compass. If when you do things, it gives you a feeling of pride, confidence, satisfaction, a sense of high self-worth, then your intuition is saying, do this more often. But if what you do gives you feelings of regret, guilt, and shame, it's saying, This is sending you in a different direction to where you really want to go. That's it. Breathing in, breathing out. And allow your unconscious to reveal those subtle changes that would be necessary to take you to that future of being slim, healthy, energetic, and confident. I want you to see that version of you could choose to eat late into the night, but doesn't want to. That version of you gets a real sense of pride and motivation whenever they go to bed hungry, knowing that human biology will make the adaptations necessary while they're sleeping. Maybe that version of you is having more real food, single ingredient foods, more foods with protein and fiber, or perhaps water. Most fruit and vegetables are high amounts of micronutrients and water. I want you to see there is one thing missing from this future that takes you in the direction that you want to go. And that is processed foods and refined carbohydrates. I want you to see that that version of you knows that you can have sugar and flour and all of those processed things, but also acknowledges that it's not useful. I want you to imagine floating up above that version of you, seeing the wins, the victories, the milestones over that year. What are you doing differently? What are you eating more of? What are you eating less of? When's your first meal of the day and when's your last meal of the day? Do you have snacks in your cupboards or not? I want you to see that there is a combination of variables that makes it inevitable that a year from now you have that slim body with high energy, brimming with health and vitality, and a whole new level of confidence. And I want you to imagine getting to the top of that mountain and almost seeing your life as if it's a big, long timeline. And I want you to see that there are two different futures 1 year from now. You know what the status quo will give you, but I want you to observe that version of you with the highest self-esteem you've had in decades, with more energy levels, more hobbies of hiking and walking. But all of those changes mainly changed how you saw yourself. And you spring in your step. That feeling of being the version of you want to be. And I want you to see that version of you looking slim, dressing well, going on dates. And not just any dates. The kind of dates that would give you a feeling of excitement and passion. I want you to get a feeling that quite often like attracts like. The confident version of you will go on dates with confident people. The slim version of you will go on dates with slim partners. The version of you brimming with high self-esteem is going on dates with other people brimming with high levels of self-esteem. Some people believe that you attract what you are, and I want you to see a future where those choices enabled you to be who you were always meant to be. And all you needed to do is to do less of the things that were giving you guilt and shame and regret anyway. Because all of that guilt and shame has always been your unconscious trying to steer you in a different direction. And every time you ignored it and repeated that unuseful thing, you were telling your body and your future that you're not worthy. And yet your unconscious and your intuition refused to accept that. That's why the guilt and the shame has been there, not to punish you, but to guide you, to help you navigate to the future that you were always meant to arrive at. And there is a part of you that never wanted to sabotage you, never wanted to lower your confidence and self-esteem. It was just using food as a substitute for real connection and real happiness. But that future version of you gets more happiness and connection from real progress, real momentum, and decisions that guide you toward that future version of you that you've always meant to experience. If your unconscious agrees that it's a small price to pay, to have less guilt, less shame, less regret, and more confidence, self-esteem, and to enable your intuition to be like a sat-nav, guiding you in the right direction, let me know by nodding your head. I want you to imagine floating into that future version of you. And just imagine it's a first date you're about to go on. Imagine looking at yourself in a full-length mirror. And by the full-length mirror, there's all these snacks that you have been eating in the past. Chocolate, biscuits, processed foods. And I want you to feel that you've got a choice. You can decide that you could eat the snacks, but not want them. Or you could eat the snacks and not go on the date. Whatever your unconscious is telling you what you value more. Real connection, real joy, real experiences, or just a synthetic substitute that will only give you shame and blame, guilt and regret. And if you feel that it's easy to turn those foods down because you want something much more valuable, let me know by nodding your head. That's it. You've now clearly communicated to your unconscious, and your unconscious has communicated to you what is really important and what you really desire. And these snacks just won't cut it. So it's time to float back, all the way back to the here and the now. Take a deep breath in through your nose and out through your nose. Wiggle your fingers, wiggle your toes. Connect and calibrate into the here and the now as I now count from 1 to 10 to awaken you. Starting to count. 1, 2, 3, waking up. 4, 5, 6, more alert. 7, 8, open your eyes, open your eyes. 9, 10, wide awake, wide awake, wide awake. Thank you so much for joining me on today's episode of The Hypnotist. If you've enjoyed this episode or got some value from it, please give it a 5-star rating and review. And maybe you know someone that would also benefit from this particular episode, in which case share the episode with them so they can also get the benefit too. And if you would like to listen to this episode where it's just the hypnosis, so no intro, no outro, no explanation, just the hypnosis and completely ad-free, there will be a link in the description where you can subscribe at a very low cost and only get access to the hypnosis. So if that's of interest, please check that out. Thank you again for being a regular listener of The Hypnotist, and I'll see you again soon for more.